Hello, everyone. Let me check to see if I'm recording, and I am. Well, welcome to the second video in the UMW channel. I'm basically going for a bit of Q&A. There's a bunch of questions here that have been given by my community, and I will also be answering some other frequently asked questions that I've been getting very recently as well. So the first one by Fubish here is, will there be more match types in old UMW? Well, the answer is unlikely. I've tried, but the issue is the ring and the barricades are all just so perfectly aligned that I really can't be bothered to move all of the barricades back and the ring back just so I could put an elimination chamber in, or just so I could put anything else in. If there is any match type links that people can give me that fit the ring, then for sure. But it's, as of right now, it's unlikely that it'll be, maybe down the line, but unlikely right now. Probably not. Next one, again by Fubish. Who is your dream row wrestling opponent? Well, I don't really take this wrestling stuff seriously, really, so I don't really have one. But if I would have to say, you know, most people would say things like, oh, Isaac Mercury, Justice League, Brutal Damon, all that stuff, Undead Brock. But I just say every single person who's been toxic to me since I started playing Roblox back in 2011, and that will stay the same. I would love to just face every single person who's been toxic to me since 2011, just in a ring, all of them, just line them up and I'll knock them all down. You know, they'll all just get chucked in there. Next question from SSJ. Like I said, this isn't just about UMW. I didn't say it, but like I said, it isn't just about UMW. This is about just wrestling in general as well. Mate, WWE is just fucked right now. Vince just does not know how to run a company anymore, and it shows. So many talented people are getting their livelihoods taken away from them just because Vince decides that they're not championship material, and that's partly one of the reasons why I decided to make UMW as inclusive as possible and give everyone title shots, because I don't like the fact that people are seen as not championship material because they lose a lot. Like, anyone could win titles. Like, Ryder is a multi-time champion in this Fed. He's had so many world title shots, even though he hasn't won a match since like July. And I do understand budget cuts and stuff, but I don't understand who they're releasing. Like, people like Aleister Black, Andrade, Rusev, who else? Karrion Kross, Keith Lee, all of them have been fired. But yet Drew Gulak and Akira Tozawa are still knocking about on the roster just to be 24/7 championship fodder, and that's just unfair when you have so much talented roster. John Morrison as well, so much talented roster just fired and kept Drew Gulak and fucking Akira Tozawa, who do nothing but job to R-Truth and Reginald on a weekly basis. It's horrible. I don't think it should happen, but I'm glad that they're getting other jobs from other companies, which is another good thing about the wrestling industry, is that there's a lot of other companies that will sign them up. I also don't like the 90-day complete clause either. That's just a whole load of bollocks. Yep. So you basically don't have a job for 90 days. Like, you're going to be living off benefits for 90 days. Good luck. Bollocks. Who's your favourite release himself from WWE? Keith Lee. It's between Keith Lee and Aleister Black for me. But I just love Keith Lee in the ring. He's really talented, especially for his size. He's a very talented wrestler. I'm just unhappy that they called him Bearcat for a while. And he was actually booked to win the US title at Elimination Chamber, but he couldn't, so they made Riddle win it instead. Still pretty good creative decisions to make Riddle win the title, because then he was built up more, even though he got collided by Sheamus at WrestleMania. But I would have loved to see a main roster title run from him, and just like what Ricochet did in 2019, I just would have loved to see a great run from him. Aleister Black's also an incredible wrestler. I would have also loved to see a singles title from him as well. I'm really shocked that he didn't win a title. He's just simply He's just simply a great wrestler as well. I love Aleister Black. I'm just happy that he's doing really well in AEW right now, and hopefully Keith Lee gets a really nice job there as well. I also like Buddy Murphy as well quite a lot. And I'll just put my least favourite out there as well. My least favourite release is probably someone that, well, they're a talented wrestler and all that, but I was just really, 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 really happy that they got released. And that was B-Fab from, what's it called, Hit Row. I hated her. She seems like such an annoying woman. And this is this year's monthly releases, by the way. This is not last year. I can barely remember half of them. Elias, I think, got released last year. Hope so. He's a cunt. Next one from Jada. Who is the most overrated female male wrestler in WWE? Well, Charlotte. Fubish already knows. Charlotte is the most overrated female. Charlotte is only like 10 plus time women's champion because she's got flair in her name. That is literally it. There's nothing else. Like, there's nothing else there. And male wrestler. Oh, that's a very tough one because I feel like most of the male roster are like aren't overly booked. I will have to say Roman Reigns though. I feel like Roman Reigns is probably the most logical. It's between him and Drew McIntyre. I do love Drew McIntyre, but I think he is a bit too overrated. But Roman Reigns, his character's getting to the point now where it's just far too boring for me personally. Because his character, he's been what Universal Champion for what 400 days, and he's been literally the same. The start of his reign. Oh, acknowledge me. Oh, Jey Uso, you're gonna die. Spear. 1, 2, 3 in 10 seconds. All he does is just come out later and just do squash matches. What? Braun Strowman and The Fiend at Payback. Bloody Daniel Bryan at Elimination Chamber. Jey Uso at Night of Champions. It's like, he's a scummy heel. And I tell you what, he's a great actor and a great storyteller, but he's just a bit bland in the ring, and he's just a stereotypical big man, isn't he? And he's just stereotypical like that. Either that or Von Wagner in NXT. He just hasn't got the tools at the moment to succeed. Right, Harley next. He's got 2. When did you start watching WWE? Right, WWE. Oh, I have to be about 4. First pay-per-view I watched was Royal Rumble 2011, the 40-man one. That was the first match I ever watched at WWE, and I actually loved Alberto Del Rio ever since he won that. But I lost my love for him in about 2 months. But like, that was just so cool to me, seeing sweaty men in speedos throw each other around a ring. And I was like, I don't even know how old I was. Yeah, probably about 4. Roughly around when the actual time of the Rumble as well. I was about 4 during the Rumble, 2011, 10 years ago. 5. I was 5. Well, I would have been 4 then. But yeah, 4. Exactly 4. Yeah. Next one. Playing AEW. Well, I played AEW the day it came out because I was already row wrestling before AEW came out. Because you have to remember AEW came out as a sequel. Well, not really a sequel, but like as a second game to follow up from 2K18. 2K18 is where I started. And I didn't really do that much in 2K18. I was about like 16 in 2K18. That's where I started my career. But if we're talking about like my entire like, I'm gonna answer for 2K18. I started in or 18th of December 2019, which is sick. And then AEW was what, February, March time, roughly. What do you think of me from when we first met to where we are now? Well, I just thought you were a super fan when I first met you because you just came up to me like, "Oh my God, an emerald! Please take my organs, put them up for sale, please, friend to me, please, please." Just started begging me. But now I'm very happy and proud of you for how far you have come in this industry, not only in row wrestling but in other things as well, like star blocks and all that bollocks. I'm just happy for you, man. Like, I'm happy for everything that you've achieved, and obviously you've taken this a damn sight more seriously than I have. And I feel like you're probably one of the better wrestlers that I know today, alongside people like Gavin and people like Fubish and Ebis and stuff. So you are probably like the second best behind Gavin, probably, I'd reckon, for some people that I know, because obviously I've known Gavin for I don't even know how long. I met him in February of 2020. Basically, he was probably my first ever row wrestling friend during Sniper Club days. But and obviously I met Harley in like what, early June, late May. It was I already met Jada that time, so I don't actually know when it was, but it's around then. Before UMW existed, it was during ACW times. But yeah, I'm just really proud of how far you've come, uh, from being like a multi-time Hall of Famer now. And back then, you were just begging to be my friend because had a high rank on AEW. That was just mental. But yeah, I'm very very proud of you, Harley, of how far that you have come. Right, Ebis, who do you think will win the UNW World Heavyweight Championship? I actually don't actually know. I said actually twice there. Can you imagine? Right, I need to actually search this up real quick. 'Cause I need to actually figure out who's in the match. Right, it's Speedy, Alex, Mike, and SSJ. Mike was obviously Harley. Because obviously I put Speedy in the match. It's originally going to be Alex, Mike, and SSJ, but Speedy, I felt like he had his moment, and I feel like I shouldn't really remove that from him just because I decided to end it. So I think Speedy should be in the match, but I do think that Harley's going to win because Harley is the better wrestler. Obviously, I haven't seen Alex recently, and I haven't really seen much of what SSJ can do, and I'm fully aware of what Speedy can do, and I do think that Harley is better than Speedy, by a very long way. Sorry, Speedy, but it's true. I feel like Speedy is. I don't want to like put people in like a ranking of who I think is gonna. I feel like Alex is probably the least likely, and then it's Speedy, SSJ, and Harley. Purely because I haven't seen Alex wrestle in a while, and I don't know how if he's like improved or deteriorated. And SSJ, I've seen him wrestle about 3 times, and I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but I do think that Harley will win it now. But if you're thinking in like the long run, I probably will win it eventually somewhere down the line. But I'm not going to put myself straight in the way. Speedy next. What's your favorite championship in UMW? Well, I don't know if you're on about memories created or just the one that the design I like the most or whatever. I mean, if you're talking about memories, it's between the retrograde and the world heavyweight for me. Because the world heavyweight, we have people like obviously like Speedy winning Academania. We have me holding the title for 7 million years, and Ryder coming very close to winning and didn't win, got collided like he always does. But I retrograde as well has made a lot of memories as well. Obviously, like Ryder winning his first title, Jason almost winning his first match before getting clapped by Ryder, and now it's between Ryder and AJ in the title match, which will be really interesting to see. So it just depends on what you mean. A design, I don't even know. Um, oh, probably I do like the United States title design. I like them all. I like all the designs. I think the retrograde's probably the ugliest design. I've allowed a 24/7, but apart from that, like I like all the titles for their designs, but for me it's between the world heavyweight and the retrograde in terms of memories and in terms. But I would go for the world heavyweight, roughly. Fubish, do you think UMW will pop in the EWF? EWF was never. It was never even close to the levels that UMW ever got. I like EWF. It's a good fed. That's going places, but UMW will forever be better. Like I'm. It's not being big-headed or anything. It's not being biased. However, I do hate the popularity contest behind a bunch of feds now. Everyone's got to be. Oh, I'm at a 700 player fed, and you're at a 300 player fed. No one gives a fuck, mate. As long as you're having fun and having a bit of creative fun, that's all that matters. No one gives a shit about popularity or numbers that you get. Listen, I couldn't give a fuck if I get 3 people per show. As long as I get to have fun with them, that's fine. I don't really give a shit if there's like 100 people in my fed. Yeah, that would be incredible and insane and so much more creative opportunities. But I wouldn't treat it like a different show. Yeah, I would obviously probably most likely cancel it if it's a pay-per-view, because obviously a pay-per-view with 3 people would be shit. But if it's a weekly show, I'll just go for it, man. Just go for a few dark matches there and there, a couple of little pre-shows, you know. But I do think that I think it's an insult to even put those 2 feds in the same category. And again, it's not being big-headed. I'm just saying that UMW, first of all, has been around for so much longer, and we all know Fubish's history with Feds in the past and how many he's deleted over the years. Mate, I can't even remember the names of them. There's so many of them. I know there's Dark Sky that ended in like 2 months after I came. Well, EWF is probably the best one that Fubish has done by far, and I feel like UMW is probably the most popular one out of like four, roughly. I'd say about that. Yeah. Well, I would say that NWO is more popular, but then again, well, ACW was the reason why Speedy even decided to make a Fed in the first place. I was one of the inspirations for him, so I would really say that I'm the person who started it all within this friend group, especially. I'm the person who probably started it all because I had ACW, then I had RDPWE, and then I renamed that to UMW. Um, but yeah, I do really think the popularity contest is just stupid and dumb. But come on, man, you have to have EWF for at least a year before you talk about competing with UMW. It's not a competition anyway, but I'm just saying you need to at least get to similar like time length than UMW because it's not really a contest at the moment. Okay, next one. These are the last two from Ebis. And I will answer a couple of FAQs as well afterwards. Are any new titles going to be introduced? No. No, not for a very long time unless I decide that one's getting too old and outdated. Because I just introduced the Defiance Championship. I don't know if you remember, but the last show that we ever did was introducing the Defiance Championship. And if I look at the champions list, that's a bit too much. I feel like. Well, I think that's enough for the amount of people that on average come to our shows without having like 7 people as like one person as every single championship. So I do feel like there's not going to be another title, and if there is going to be another title, it's going to be replacing another title. Who's your favorite person to be in WWE World Heavyweight Championship and why? What is it like preferred or like person who has won it? Because if anything, then I'm probably my favorite person to win the World Heavyweight Championship because obviously I held it for the longest and I'm also like the most dominant one. Because I had so many, I defended that title with like 11 gimmicks every month or something. There was, I swear, I've defended that title with like 100 and something gimmicks. But in the future, I'm not gonna lie, I'd really love to see Ryder win the world title. It probably won't happen in the near future, but I just really want him to see him win a major title because he has the retrograde, but that's tertiary. I'd really love to see him win a title, I mean like a proper like one. Because the problem is with Ryder is that he's a low carder. I'm gonna be honest. And usually, like the United States champion is Fubish, and then the hardcore is Ebis, and then the Intercontinental is Harley, and then where all three of those people could beat Ryder with their eyes closed, literally. And so, unless it's unless it's gifted to him, I don't really see him winning the world title. But I'd love to see him actually manage to pull it off. He'd probably only really win it if it has like AJ or Team and it's against him, or it's a staged match. And then by all means he could actually win. But yeah, moving on to FAQs. Uh, will I? Well, there was one that was I saw the other day, and it was, will I be fixing the issue with the controls? And I was saying no. I tried today. I actually tried to fix the controls, but unfortunately, I was trying to make a close button, but unfortunately, whenever I move the controls out of the start a GUI folder so I can actually see it, it doesn't show up. So unfortunately, you just have to grit your teeth and bear it. Unfortunately, I genuinely can't fix it, and I can't just delete it and make a new one because one, I have no experience in making GUIs, and two, it takes me years to do that anyway. And I'm taking GCSE computer science, but I'm failing it, so it doesn't matter. And I just simply, and it's literally how holds all of my match types, and it holds all of that. So I feel like there's no point in deleting it straight away, and And I am bringing back WWE, AEW, and NXT predictions. Well, Fubish asked me yesterday if I'm adding AEW, and I will be adding AEW to the predictions as well as obviously normal shows. So that is okay. There's one more that I was on my mind whilst I was doing my chemistry exam, and there was one. Yeah, why did UMW close this time, and why this hasn't been asked? Well, it has been asked, but no one seems to really care about it. So the reason why you will probably know that the reason why I left was because of my exams, right? Well, that's not the only reason. Simply, I was just getting sick and tired of pro wrestling. I was just constantly, day in and day out, like working my ass off for the feds and everything, and I was getting everything sorted, and I was getting everything done, creating new match types constantly. Yeah, after every single show, there seems to be toxicity, and I just simply just couldn't hack it. So I ended UMW, and then I created the Echo Gaming Hub, which is basically just a place for us all to just chill and hang out without being a toxic thread in the background. And then I started to play more Row Wrestling, and I started to go to more feds, and then I realized how much I absolutely fucking despise the community. Like, I come out to a theme song, and it's like, oh, this is Nick Battle's song, or whatever the fuck. Some random cringy kids from Tennessee is called his character now. And it's just like some really obscure song with like 30 people has streamed it on Spotify, and yet some like 87 different row wrestlers have just used it. Like, for example, I saw the other day Harley's Masquerade song. Apparently, that two other wrestlers use it, which is absolute bollocks because it's got like 36,000 listeners on Spotify. There's no way, mate, that you found that unless you spiritually watch Montage Rock. But I was just getting sick and tired of it. Obviously, exams was the main reason. Like, I'm not lying about my exams at all. Like, the exams are happening currently as we speak. But that was the one that really tipped me over the edge because I was willing to like keep this Discord open. And plus, I didn't spend any time online with my real life friend, so I just switched accounts for a while. I just played on that account instead, and I returned early because I was just getting bored of my friends because they were all playing Minecraft, and I don't own Minecraft on well, the Microsoft Store anyway. I do have Minecraft, but not on the Microsoft Store, which they have it on, and they were all just playing that and paying for an SMP or whatever. So I decided to jump ship over to here. I was meant to jump ship over. I still shouldn't actually be back now that we speak about this. Um, it's been about should have been 13th, but I'm actually starting UNW on the 11th. So how time flies, isn't it? Right, we've been recording for 23 minutes, and that's the Q&A done, I guess. And I don't know why it took me 23 minutes to answer like 8 questions, but we move. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Q&A. People aren't going to be watching to this point, so if you are watching to this point, big up yourself. But yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Ciao.